Hello. This video is produced through observations of a close friend over the past 6 months. I think the video is rightly called The Ghosts of Future Past. First I will talk about my friend, and if you guys have any inputs with regards to him, go ahead and give me some. And slightly later on we will analyze these ghosts that we all have to deal with in our lives. My friend had a girlfriend of 2 years or thereabout, good looking girl, a lawyer from a good and rich family. He works where I live, but during that time he commuted for hours every day because, of the idealistic love that he had for her. Anyway, the situation in the relationship was suffocating and he ended up breaking up with her after she didn't help him when he was really in need. According to him, the woman has a borderline personality disorder. Now, when you guys say things like that in the comment sections, I'm always a bit skeptical. But this guy knows his stuff in terms of the profession that he does, and I had kind of stumbled upon this girl in the past, so, I tend to agree with him. By the way, we didn't fuck, but you could sense the crazy. It's probably why I was attracted to her, because that's my little fetish, and unfortunately crazy chicks really do this for me. Anyway, this guy eventually moved here following the breakup and will be my new flatmate. He's a good guy, but I can see him going down the drain. Now, for a reasonable, good, calm individual, he spent most of his days at present drinking non-stop and fucking indiscriminately and quite randomly. And during this entire process, I have been throwing him glimpses of the red pill wisdom. He has been reading books about philosophy, human nature, and he has consumed content from Rollo's blog as well as watched some of the MGTOW videos here. He listened to the interview of the guy twice and he seems to be getting the concepts that we discuss. Yet he doesn't accept them. By his admission, he's venting and taking revenge on female kind. He thinks that women are essentially similar in the way that they behave and, how you can bet them. And I can vouch for that in a way. The majority of females behave in a similar way. There are certain subtypes, but the dating scene is repetitive for its most part. As I'm writing this, he's currently out on a date that I arranged following a half-hour WhatsApp discussion with one of his much Tinder girls when he was too drunk to carry on messaging her. Although he sees this as a reactionary phase, and I see it too for the most part, I think he's loving and simultaneously hating every minute of it, and he's combining it with quite addictive behaviors. He sees this life as an achievement, and he was always kind of like the good guy. He didn't know that you could live like this. And I'm worried about him because deep down, through every manipulative experience that he is living, he's hoping that he will be proven wrong. But I don't want to just talk about my friend. Let's branch out a little bit. After all, if he happens to watch this video, I might not have a place to live, so, let's try and talk generally. I speak to guys like this all the time within the manosphere. Guys who are scarred of the ghosts of their past. I speak to guys who keep reminiscing the past. To guys who live their lives according to those ghosts of their past. Every choice, every decision they make seems to be related to that one or those multiple traumatic experiences that they had. When I talk to these guys, it seems to be that I talk to guys who refuse and reject the present and present to have their eyes fixed on the past. To be fair to them, the majority of people talk about their past, but they talk about their past as an observer with a good understanding upon reflection of what may have occurred and what happened to them. But for these guys like my friend, the past is met with fear. There's anxiety, regret and hate. And through all of these things, there is a man who is suffering. And this is not something that is unique to MGTOW. I talk to guys like this everywhere in the manosphere and also in real life. Hell, I used to be one of those guys. I drank myself to oblivion and to the point of sickness, sat back until the alcohol started to wear off, and at that point I would sit with music and talk to random girls, and ideally I wouldn't wake up next to one of them. I was fine as well, yet I was hurting. I was functioning fine, yet I was walking down a path of pity for myself. For myself, the pity was not for the love that was lost. Of course, there was some of that in the first month or so of a breakup. The problem for me was the realization of these repetitive patterns of behavior with my ex-partners. I could see even back then that I would never find that someone, yet I was too scared to admit it. The self-destructive tendency was a pity for the long-term fear of dying alone, because I could see those patterns. The red pill actually set me free, because I accepted that fact and I realized so much more about myself and female nature. The red pill was liberating. I genuinely feel a lot better now, but you see, I didn't go through really abusive shit. I didn't have to see my children leave me. I didn't have to see my ex-wife take away half of my shit. I didn't have to suffer through all of that, and it would be very presumptuous of me to say that I know what I'm talking about, that I know what you guys are going through. I simply had miserable relationships, yet I still see these patterns in people. No matter the trauma, for everyone there is this woman you either hate, miss, loathe, or potentially still secretly love. This is not exclusive to that one woman, but there could be multiple women that you see when you close your eyes in those drunken stupors that you go through. There could be women who you weren't even sexual with. It could have been your mother, sister, ex-girlfriend, or whatever. It could be that your ego was hurt, or your emotional world may have collapsed or altered into a more realistic yet highly cynical one. All these changes, as you can imagine, are not necessarily good for the individual who's not ready for them, for the individual who has not prepared for them. Because invariably, any trauma, if too big to emotionally process, you end up blocking it out and you refuse to experience it. It is easier to live with the hate, because hate can't hurt you. It gives you a drive to live. Reactions of anger certainly take you away from the pit of clinical depression and suicide. Addiction, alcohol and substance abuse goes rampant. Excessively risky activity with multiple sexual partners, lack of sleep, irritability, rage are all reactions coming from similar experiences. But even that eventually settles and you only do it occasionally. Even then, if you completely calm down, even if you completely remove all these areas that give you risk, the fact remains that you're not addressing the fact that there are ghosts chasing you, there are demons who live in your mind. The life that you're living is a direct reaction to the situations that you went through. The women that you meet or talk to are the women that hurt you. They might not be, but you certainly see them that way. No, I'm not saying that you should get close to women or fall in love or return to the plantation. I want you to reevaluate your life. Is your life being chased by those ghosts that haunt you? Are these ghosts shaping your future? Is your life the life that you want to live given your circumstances? I know that for many of you, your life is risk-free, but is this what you want to live? Can you still see that little boy inside of you? Can you still feel him? Is he still there? I constantly wonder about my life, if this is how I want to live it, if this is who I want to be. Am I where I need to be? Are there more parts of me that are hiding? Are there things that are holding me back? Do I still carry my demons around with me wherever I go? Is it me that's making the choices, or are all my actions a reaction to deeper pain that I'm hiding? Do I stand tall and proud regarding the choices and the decisions that I have made? Or do I find myself explaining to myself the reasons for my action just so that I can sleep a bit better at night? In essence, am I being true to myself, or am I simply lying to me? There is a certain pleasure in actively damaging yourself. You can almost taste the blood while you're doing it. You see, men, we're not as aggressive as people portray us. We are idealists, born to serve and love all those that don't give us back. Back in your days of illusion before the red pill, you were a slave and saw yourself as a master. Your disposability was invisible to you, while your servitude was always demanded. And yet years and years later, many of us still stick to this idealistic, romantic, Hollywood-obsessed self-destruction via alcohol and drugs. I mean, I know the pain, brothers. We have all felt varying degrees of it, and we all turned on ourselves initially. We went through anger, we went through hate, yet when you look at the abuse and the crime statistics which are going down while suicides are going up, you understand that men are all turning on themselves to cure the hurt. If you cut, if you drink, if you do drugs, you're no longer numb. There is pleasure that is born from it. There is a nobility almost to your suffering. You hurt because the relationship, the ex-wife, the ex-girlfriend, ex-fiancé, children, anything that you may have lost meant so much to you. But there is no nobility in suffering. There is only suffering. And if you look at the numbers of men who kill themselves, there is nothing noble about that. I don't know at which point men will realize this. Our reactions have almost been programmed to every man that fails. If he can't get up, he's done, he's rejected, he's ostracized and almost instructed to self-destruct. We crave the fight and we forget all those that are left behind. We love the underdogs and we forget all those matches that the underdogs end up losing for that one match that they will end up winning. We enjoy the fall, we enjoy the decline, we want to reach rock bottom until we decide to eventually climb back up, if we can. I can still taste the cigarettes in my bitter, dehydrated mouth. I remember the alcohol haze, the sleepless nights, the discarded women, the self that was but wasn't. It comes back to me in smells and memories. I still have a taste for it. But why must we fall so that we can all climb back up? Why must the fall continue after we have already fallen? We say that we were pushed, but many of us crawled to the very edge to make sure that we fall all the way down. Understand that there is no nobility to your suffering. There is no greater cause. Nobody is looking at you and nobody will feel sorry for you. Your ascension back to glory will never be. Even if you achieve everything that you ever wanted, that delusionary and magical world that you lived in is gone. That's the red pill. Forget your blue pill days. You're alone. Yes, you're fucking alone. We exist as a community, but ultimately once the computer turns off and the lights go out, you're all alone. Your suffering is yours. Yours to take you to bed at night and yours to suffer through. And it's about time we understood that there is no glory in it. There's simply pain, and no matter what you do, the pain only goes once you acknowledge it. Once you learn to live with it and accept it as a part of you. Live for yourselves and don't hold back. Make your life work, and if you fall down again, know that it was because of your own doing and because of your own decisions, and quickly get back up. It doesn't take life experience to do that. It requires a change and a shift in perspective. The perspective is, though the world operates in a less than idealistic manner, though there is no ultimate plan, though your world will never feel as fairy as it did in the past, you have to make this world work. You have to logically comprehend and accept that. You should look at yourself with judgment and understand everything that went wrong to bring you where you are now. No, it isn't just that one thing. It is the many things that you did after that one thing. Stop creating excuses for yourself. Stop dragging along all that fucking unnecessary baggage. I'm not saying forget about everything that happened to you. I'm not saying forgive anyone. Understand that you need to move on. Understand that you need to live for yourselves. That's what it means to be a MGTOW, living first and foremost for you. Because as a man, you have no backup. You have nothing to fall back to. Therefore, recreate yourselves. Form your own backups. And live a life just for you. Thank you for listening.